But I'm very happy with what the county commissioner said of the latest attack. Before the latest fracas, I went into a funeral in Godnyango, which after the funeral, the road was blocked. I could not pass. Luckily enough, I had the security. The following day, in our funeral in Nyatindo, immediately I arrived there before even praying. One of the notorious criminals who comes from Kenyans called a boy stated that I will not talk there. The villagers there were angered. What happened and the process are within investigating agencies, which I don't want to address. I've been very keen for the last 6 months, including the latest. And allow me to spill the bean today, because I want these things to be in the public domain. Those who bring insecurity in Kasipul, they are not residents of Kasipul. These youths. There's a vehicle which abducted one called Brian. These vehicles moves around in Oyugis with different number plates. The security agency are briefed on this. We can't say because that people should not be coming to Kasipul, no. But if you come for a funeral, if a relative, you breathe with us, you eat and you go. Why do you come with crude weapons? Even for example, if one is an aspirant, unajua mtu anataka kiti. Si ukuje tu unyemelea watu hivi utapewa. Lakini ukikuja na fujo tutakupea. If you have any information on this fracas, the best thing you could do is to walk to the police station, give a report and write a statement. And if you think you have come with a strategy to destroy the name of this executive and prestigious constituency, you have knocked the wrong door.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Kenyans, it is a sad day or night this evening as the country has lost one of its legislators, ODM lawmaker and MP for Kasipul, Charles Ondowere. And I'm saying it is sad because aside losing a legislator, it just shows the sad state of affairs in matter of security in a country called Kenya, where then no one is safe. Because even if an MP who is well taken care of and secure in terms of they have bodyguards, they have police around them and all that, can be killed in a public place along Ngong Road near City Mortuary, then that is a very worrying state of affairs. Just recently, Charles Ondowere gave claims and spoke out there in public saying that his life was in danger. So it means Ondowere to some level knew he was living in borrowed time. So the big question here is, who killed him? Because the preliminary reports are just showing that he was gunned down by 2 men who were in a motorbike. So these two men who gunned him down, what was their motive? So with these questions, today as the country mourns a lawmaker, there's something that the political leaders at the ruling class also have to learn. Just after the release of the BBC documentary dubbed The Blood Parliament, we had the Kenyan Parliament discuss this. Actually, I'm talking about the National Assembly. And we had one of the MPs, because majority of them were so fierce and seriously spoke against the BBC documentary. And one lawmaker could actually stand up confident enough, courageous, and say that people are killed everywhere. It is normal, and therefore we need to sympathize and move on. That is a lawmaker speaking in Kenyan Parliament about a story that touches on lives of its citizens, majority, and actually a number, if not all, that were just peaceful protesters. I'm saying majority because some were even killed, others were not even in the protests. A peaceful protester without actually any weapon, killed, and others even killed within the parliament grounds, and then a lawmaker in parliament in front of his colleague parliamentarians saying that we need to sympathize and move on. And I'm saying this because if today you go to any mainstream media, check on the Citizen YouTube channel, check on KTN YouTube channel, check on NTV's YouTube channel, where they're talking about the death of Kasipul MP Ondowere, then check on the comments. You'll realize that most of the Kenyans, actually a good number of Kenyans, majority, who have already commented, are saying that we sympathize and we move on. Do you remember when the member of parliament, Beatrice Elachi, lost her son? There were talks out there. And remember, all this is happening because of the kind of statements that are made by a good number of those in the ruling class. So it is high time that our lawmakers, our politicians, political leaders, and even the leaders within the Kenyan parastatals learn something. You realize that somebody like Ondowere, you realize that he was not even so vocal against the BBC documentary, but then he is now falling victim of what a parliamentarian or a colleague leader said when in the floor of the parliament, that we sympathize and move on. I also want to believe that it is very sad. It is very sad that we've lost a parliamentarian. But I want to believe that because how the Kenyan parliament has been running and what they've been saying inside the parliament, someone would tend to believe and wonder if at all these people are humans, and if at all they value the lives of Kenyans. Because whatever they say after Kenyans have died because of police brutality or excesses of the government, how the members of parliament affiliated to the ruling regime, majority of them, how they speak, someone would wonder and even ask themselves if at all they value the lives of Kenyans. Talk of extrajudicial killings. We've had a government that promised that no one will ever lose their lives because or in the line of extrajudicial killings. We've even had the members of parliament, senators, and a good number of those who are within the ruling class defend some of these extrajudicial killings. So today, now that it has fallen on the wrong side, and finding someone who maybe is very much innocent, now that it is part of them that has been touched, do they now believe that there are extrajudicial killings going on in the country? Because such are the questions we can be asking right now. Charles Ong'Ondo has lost his life in a shooting. 2 gunmen along Ngong Road actually has gunned down Charles Ong'Ondo, a sitting MP who was just out of parliament where they were transacting business, is now dead within the Kenyan capital, Nairobi city. Just hours when people are still walking and very active within the country. What does that tell you? The big question here is, who killed Charles Ong'Ondo? And why? What is the motive behind it? Is it political? Or what is it exactly? So we are urging the agencies that are responsible doing with investigations to do speed investigations, and let us not just have talks in town as it has always been in the past, and let the country know exactly what happened, what transpired, because this is a member of parliament who had already cried out there and said that his life was in danger. And to Kenyans, because if you look at the comments I'm sending you to go and look at, many Kenyans are saying we sympathize and move on. Reason being, Kenyans were killed, but within the Kenyan assembly, the Kenyan parliament, a member of parliament stands up and says, people are killed, it is normal, it happens everywhere, and therefore we need to sympathize and move on. And remember, we're just less than a year since young Kenyan people who were protesting innocently, just protesting for good governance and a country that things are working, were killed. And a member of parliament talks about we sympathize and move on. So we want to believe that as the country mourns together, we then get into a different trajectory, so that at the end of the day, both, or rather all the Kenyan citizens are safe, because then Kenyans are worried. Remember, it's just a few years ago in 2015 when we lost a sitting member of parliament. I'm not sure whether it was the MP for Kabete, but if we check very well, you'll realize that in 2015 we lost a sitting member of parliament just within the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, just a few years ago. And therefore, just within 10 years. And that tells you, because today, if the extrajudicial killings are on this high rate, and even a sitting member of parliament can be killed, then we are wondering who is safe. Who is safe? So as Kenyans, let us learn from this. To the family, friends, colleagues, the ODM party, and the family of the late MP Ondowere, may you find our sympathies and condolences as DMP Kenya, and may God comfort you, and may the soul of Charles Ondowere rest in peace. My name